Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and today I'm here to react to your unpopular movie opinions. Let's do this. So I asked you all to submit your unpopular movie opinions on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and my oh my, y'all had a lot to say this time round. I don't know if it's the self-quarantine, if some of y'all got that COVID on your mind, or what is going on. But y'all had a lot of opinions this go-round. Yes. But before we get started, just a reminder, this is all in fun. This is just a fun video. Hopefully nobody takes offense. These are jokes. This is just a good time. Plus, these are self-admitted unpopular movie opinions, and let's just be real, for the most part, I am basic, y'all. B-A-S-I-C, basic. So, probably not going to agree with a whole lot of your opinions. Plus, I know some of y'all just trolled me. You know who you are. Since I got so many replies, I'm actually going to split this into 2 separate videos. So, let's jump in to part 1 with Facebook and Instagram. I'm going to be reading off my phone because there are so many. But we're going to go ahead and kick things off with Facebook. So Ty Jensen says, Last Jedi is the best of the Star Wars sequel trilogy. Ooh, now that is a controversial opinion for sure. Now I actually like The Last Jedi quite a bit. I'd say it's second best of the sequel trilogy. I still like The Force Awakens the most out of the 3, but hey, that one, I can't knock you for that, Ty. Now some other Star Wars fans, they might come for you and I take no responsibility, but me, we good. Soren Saunders says that they have thousands upon thousands of unpopular opinions, but here's a few. M. Night's worst film for me is The Village. At least with The Happening and Last Airbender, I laughed at how bad they were. Well, I also hate The Village. That twist was a hot mess, so I'm not going to fault you for that, though The Last Airbender is just the pits, personally. Besides Bumblebee, the Transformers movie I can take seriously is Age of Extinction. No thank you. No. I'm sorry, I personally didn't mind the Lion King remake, which I think others had shared your sentiment in the comments I received. I guess I didn't. No, I minded it. I was not a fan at all. But more power to you, Soren. The Cat in the Hat's a guilty pleasure of mine. In fact, I have more enjoyment from that movie than The Lorax and the 2008 Grinch combined. That's a solid no. It's not. I mean, I guess you admit it as a guilty pleasure, so that's good. I think Crash was a worthy movie to win Best Picture, even though my pick was actually Batman Begins. I actually don't hate Crash, like I know so many do. I definitely think it has problems. I don't think it was a worthy Best Picture, because that definitely should have been Brokeback Mountain, especially when you look at all of the precursor awards, but yeah. RoboCop 3 is better than RoboCop 2. I've never seen RoboCop 3, so I'll take your word for it. Terminator Salvation is the 3rd best Terminator behind, of course, the original and Judgment Day. No. But, you know, once you get past those first 2, it's basically take your pick, right? The Emoji Movie's bad, terrible even, but it's not even in my top 5 worst animated movies list. As an actual film, I think I actually agree with you on this. It's just the concept behind the movie of advertising so directly to children that makes it kind of morally bankrupt. I would have to think about it, but I might be on the same page with you there. Speaking of worst animated movies, I truly despise Sausage Party. Me too, hey! Solo is my least favorite Star Wars movie. Can't relate on that one, sorry. Captain Marvel's my least favorite MCU film. Woo, definitely don't relate on that one. It's on my bottom tier. It's not very high, but it just doesn't compare to Thor 2 and Iron Man 2 and The Incredible Hulk to me, so not even close to my least favorite. I really loved BVS. In fact, The Ultimate Cut is in my top 10 favorite movies. Wow, now that is a statement. And a statement I actually think plenty of folks here on the interwebs would agree with you on. I'm just not one of them. BVS is one of the most disappointing films in history for me. It is near the bottom when it comes to pure Batman movies and Superman movies for me. No, it's not for me. Miss Tiffany Green says The Conjuring 2 is better than the first one. An understandable opinion, Tiffany, because The Conjuring 2 I think is very good, but not as good as the first. I still think the first Conjuring is the best, and honestly was my favorite horror film of the 2010s. Tiffany also says, I also don't like Elf with Will Ferrell. I just couldn't get into that movie. I don't love it as much as other people do. I think it's one of Will Ferrell's strongest films, but is that saying much? I don't fault you for that one. Mr. Kenneth says, here are 3. I didn't think the Lion King remake was that bad. So again, I can understand people not thinking it was that bad. I'll say that. Saying it was great or it was good, we might run into problems, but not that bad. Well, that's alright. I thought Boss Baby was worse than the Emoji Movie. Now that is quite the opinion there. I don't agree. I think the Emoji Movie is worse. Again, simply for just how morally corrupt it is in its inception. But, I mean, this is like comparing one rotten apple to the next, so, ooh. And then this next opinion was also shared with Ty Jensen, who says, Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man. Yes, even better than Tobey Maguire. Wow. So, I love Tom Holland. We're just gonna get that out the way. So, I am a bit biased. It's really hard for me to judge. I think he is for sure, though. For sure, the best Peter Parker. I think he's the best. For Spider-Man himself as a hero, I think I would still go with the Tobey Maguire movie Spider-Man, but just barely. It is close. I actually think all 3 actors do a really strong job. Andrew Garfield did a good job. That's my unpopular opinion right there. Jerome Latimer coming back with that Ari Aster hot take. He says Ari Aster is a complete hack. Especially given the fact that he drew inspiration from Lars von Trier, one of the most vile, despicable human beings to make Midsummer. That and a personal vendetta Aster had after breaking up with his ex. I don't agree. I actually quite like both of Ari Aster's feature films. I know, we don't agree on that, Jerome. I do agree on Lars von Trier, though. I'm not a fan. I can't get into that nasty filmmaking that he does. I find it pretty morally bankrupt as well, so it's not for me. However, Ari Aster, I dig his style. I dig the slow burn horror that he puts out. The artistry in his work, it does it for me personally. So next up, we have a contrary opinion to one we've already heard from Cassie Rish Gibson, which says Tobey Maguire is the best Spider-Man. Again, I kind of agree, because I think when it comes to like Spider-Man in the suit, being a hero, I do prefer Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man to the other 2, but when it comes to Peter Parker, it's Tom Holland for me. Sticking with the subject of Spider-Man, Mike Wilson says Spider-Man 2 is not that great of a movie, and I find it to be overpraised. Well, Mike, you're alone on that one. Actually, you're not, because I think somebody else says that on Twitter. We'll circle back around. I still think it's the best live-action Spider-Man film. So, there's that. Carefield says A Star is Born, 2018, is overrated. Luke, little monsters are coming. What a bad gay you are. I quite enjoyed A Star is Born. I do think it has some narrative flaws in it, but it's still my favorite of the Star is Born films. Yes, even over the Judy Garland one. So maybe I need to be stoned. I don't know, but I think it warranted the praise. Luke Newcomb says Hans Zimmer is an overrated composer. Oh my, now that is a hot take. So when it comes to Hans Zimmer, when he's great, I think he is top of the game, best composer of his generation. That's what I'll say there. However, after Inception, I do think Hans Zimmer found himself in a bit of a rut. Since the Inception score was pretty much like revolutionary to film soundtracks, in the way that it just transformed them to try to copy the Inception sound, Hans Zimmer started to feel very repetitive and almost like a parody of himself. So in that sense, I do kind of agree, but he still is able to churn out some of the most memorable, amazing scores of this past 20 years. So in that sense, I don't agree. Gal Gadot is not a good actress. Luke, I don't know how unpopular that opinion is. So I love Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. However, outside of her role as Wonder Woman, we've yet to see a good performance per se. I didn't like her in the Fast and Furious movies and the other projects she's done. Oof. So I don't think she's a good actress per se, as much as I think she is someone who can shine when she is casted properly. Children of Men should have been nominated over The Queen for Best Picture. Oh my. I actually quite like both films, so I think I would have been okay with either one, to be honest. Christopher Nolan is a bit overpraised, but not a bad director, so Nolan fans don't come for Luke. I think it's a fair statement, honestly. I thought Dunkirk was okay. I thought Interstellar, not so great. A bit on a meh streak for me, especially given we have The Dark Knight Rises as well, which I was like, meh. So, you know what? I'm agree with that one. So, Nolan fans, y'all can come for me if you want. I love a lot of Nolan's films, but he hasn't been hitting it out of the park recently. That's it. Rami Malek was not a good Freddie Mercury. Another one that I can't really disagree with all that much. I don't think he should have won Best Actor. There's that. My problem is the writing was just not good. So it's hard for me to judge him as Freddie too much. He more or less got some of the mannerisms. I don't know. That whole movie. Let's forget about it. I Frankenstein is a guilty pleasure. Well, at least you recognize that it's guilty. The Lion King is slightly overrated, and I'm assuming he's talking about the 1994 one, because if he thinks the new one is overrated, then he must really hate it. I can't relate on that one. I love it. It was my childhood, and I still think it's one of the best animated films of all time, so... And then we get to Owen Buckner, who is our final Facebook, and we'll start with the same sentiment as Luke. The Lion King is insanely overrated. Even as a kid, I didn't like it. Well, as I just said, as a kid, it was actually my favorite Disney film. Since then, I've grown to love The Beauty and the Beast more, but I just love The Lion King. Yes, it is Hamlet on the Plains of Africa, but I still think it just is executed to perfection. Martin Scorsese is an asshole for what he said about Marvel movies. Yes. Yes, he is. The pretension is real, y'all. I actually don't think that's that unpopular, Owen. Avengers Endgame was just okay. It started off great, but it really lost me in the time travel stuff, and the final battle was really overwhelming. The time travel stuff was a bit much for me too. I've noticed time travel in films. It's tough sell for me personally, but I just kind of loved it overall. I do have issues with it, but the good outweighed the bad for me. So this one often comes up when we discuss unpopular opinions, and here we go. I truly think Black Panther is the worst film in the MCU. The effects are terrible, absolutely nothing happens, plot holes galore, it's tone deaf, the writing is trash, and there's no tension. Owen, I can't agree with you at all on this one. I personally love Black Panther, and I think it's far from the worst film in the MCU, actually. Especially the tone-deaf part. I think it's culturally so significant and vibrant in the way it brings a new culture into the MCU. I don't know how it could be tone-deaf personally. Of course, the CGI, particularly in that third act, is terrible. I don't know even people who love it can dispute that. It's not good. The rest of the stuff, I think, is definitely up to a personal opinion, and I respect those who think it's overrated, because I do think that's held by quite a few. I don't agree. Hardcore Henry is better than Mad Max Fury Road. Whew. Suicide Squad makes Fan 4 Stick look like The Dark Knight. Woo! Oh my! Again, we're kind of comparing rotten apples to rotten apples here. I prefer Suicide Squad personally, but you know, take your pick. And then finally, The Raid Redemption is better than The Raid 2. I actually haven't seen The Raid Redemption, so I'll take your word for it. So next up, we're going to Instagram, and first up we had Media Microwave trolling me, basically. Saying Tom Holland is the greatest Spider-Man. He is just so cute. First of all, Tom Holland being so cute is not an unpopular opinion and is 100% accurate, period. Second of all, Tom Holland being the greatest Spider-Man. Well, we've already addressed Spidey, so. Devin Smith says The Rise of Skywalker is the best Star Wars. Oof, that's a big no for me. I'm sorry, Devin. No. For me, it's the weakest in the sequel trilogy, and I can't get on board with that. Oof. But I'm glad you liked it. Scott Pilgrim is terrible. Oof. I don't love Scott Pilgrim quite as much as I think the general, like, consensus is. Not my favorite Edgar Wright film, but I have fun with it. Blade Runner is terrible. I think Blade Runner being overrated is actually not that controversial of opinion these days, but especially when it comes to its time period. It was revolutionary. It just is what it is. I quite love Blade Runner, so having trouble seeing eye to eye with you, Devin. And then finally, Wonder Woman is one of the worst DC movies. Oof, that's a hard no for me. I know we're gonna get that opinion again later on, but I love Wonder Woman, so no thanks. The Logan Battles says Glass is far superior to Split. It fixed a lot of the issues that I had with Split, like actually having a plot twist that is not non-existent. I don't agree. I think Split is quite superior to Glass, though I think Glass is actually a bit underrated. Got a hard shake of things. It's not nearly as bad as people make it out to be. There is a twist in Glass that I think personally worked pretty well. I think M. Night Shyamalan taking an easy route on twists is not actually a bad thing. We don't always need them crazy out there twists, Shyamalan. Kung Fu Danda, Daniel says, Midsummer wasn't that good. Oh, I love it. So I can't agree. Joaquin Phoenix was the best Joker, even better than Heath Ledger. So I think Joaquin Phoenix was great. It's really hard for me to compare the two, though. I've said it before. It's so difficult because Joaquin had a full movie dedicated to him, and it was such a different ask of him to be the Joker, whereas Heath Ledger was the villain of a Batman film, and it was just asking for two very different things, so I have trouble really even equating the two. Movie 43 was hilarious. This is a hard no. Actually, Movie 43 is my least favorite film I've ever seen. I think it is absolutely terrible, and I hate it. Hate it. Ben Affleck isn't a very good actor. Ooh, people are gonna come for you, Daniel. I think he's gotten better as we've gone on. Definitely early career Ben Affleck. He's very pretty, but we struggled with the acting chops. But in recent years, I think he's gotten much better. He's certainly not an expressive actor. You gotta really pull to get that emotion from him. Kenneth comes back on Insta to say Infinity War is better than Endgame. I don't know how unpopular that opinion is. I know a lot of people think this. I don't, because I think Infinity War has a lot of problems with that ending and it's not complete, whereas I feel Endgame works better as a contained film than Infinity War does, and I just think the highs are higher. But I find both to be top tier MCU. Sylvie Sexton says Supergirl is a masterpiece. So you're talking the film, right? Not the show? Ooh. And then finally, Real Stevie TV says the Chris Nolan Batman films are a terrible representation of Batman. So unpacking this, I don't think is all that wrong, per se. Working as actual Batman movies, there's a case to be made about Batman's representation not being very comic accurate, certainly. And we only get kind of a one-sided feel of who Batman is as a hero through Christopher Nolan's films. I don't necessarily disagree. I think terrible is not the word I would use, but the films are so good as just films that I didn't really care. So that is the first half of my reacting to your unpopular movie opinions to Pandemic Edition 2020. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on my latest videos. Also, make sure to join in on the discussion. What did you think of these unpopular opinions? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let's have some civil discussions down in the comment section down below. Make sure to check back next week when I release part 2 with all of the Twitter discussion. Love you all so much for your continued support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!